Does the ransom note that you're working establish any communication protocols in it?
No, it does not. And that is what I think is important, that if someone has Nancy and is demanding the ransom, that there is communication with the family. We talked about has been no proof of life, and there was no other demands within that letter. So they're still waiting for communication.
Okay, so we just learned the potential ransom note being investigated does not, as he was saying there, does not establish communication protocols. Now, remember last night, the Guthrie family addressed that note pleading for proof of life. Watch this.
We need to know, without a doubt, that she is alive and that you have her. We want to hear from you, and we are ready to listen. Please reach out to us.
Let's bring in James Fitzgerald, retired FBI supervisory special agent and criminal profiler. He worked to catch the Unabomber Ted Kaczynski, the co-host of Cold Red podcast, and Dr. Casey Jordan, criminologist and host of the Criminal Appeal podcast. Thank you all for coming on. James, to you first. I want to play kind of so we can get a timeline here. We got the FBI, we got Savannah Guthrie talking about this. I want to play a back-to-back soundbite here. We're going to start with the local news anchor that the team that got one of the ransom notes, followed by the FBI kind of talking about that. Watch this.
They're still looking into the legitimacy of it. It came into our newsroom via email. I also included a dollar amount, a deadline, and again, other specifics that only Guthrie's abductor might know. So that definitely raised some red flags.
So the ransom note that was distributed to the media did make a demand for 5 p.m. today. And if a transfer wasn't made, then I think a second demand was for next Monday. We're not going to go beyond that, but that was the ransom note the media received.
Did it indicate what would happen if they didn't meet that ransom? Did they?
We're not going to go into those specifics.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you see there, they're not going to go any further on this, but it is kind of baffling, James, when you talk about this and you think, well, here's the deal. What happens is that they have asked for a deadline of 5 o'clock today, but they did not give the family or police or anybody else any way to be able to make the demand by 5 o'clock today.
And Trace, that could go both ways. It could mean it's a legitimate kidnapping and they want to protect themselves and not give any lines of potential communication, phone, email, whatever type of contact information. Or it could be someone, as I said earlier, this was either done for profit or for revenge, this abduction. Or it could be someone who, did what they had to do with this Guthrie, and they still don't want to talk to anybody about it. I coined a term about 20 years ago. It's an acronym, POMIC. A lot of syllables coming up. Post-offense, manipulation of investigation, communication. I was seeing a lot of crimes being committed, rapes, murders, that people will be suspected, and they put these letters out somewhere in the criminal justice system, the media, to lawyers, to police, whomever. And that is designed, like I said, to throw off, misdirect the investigation. So I would want to look at these notes. The forensic linguist in me would really like to look at them and break them down from an idiolectal perspective. Any dialect features contained therein. But at the same time, they have to work it seriously. But unless there's something in there that only the offenders, the abductors would know, I don't put as much faith in it as possible. But they still have to work it like it is a real kidnapping until proven otherwise.
Yeah, and Dr. Jordan, he makes a good point there, but the whole concept here is the FBI clearly believes there is some validity to this note. Whether they think it might be a hoax or not the real deal here, there is something valuable about this because they are the ones, they acknowledge today, that kind of got the Guthrie family together. They helped them film this response so that they could get some kind of dialogue going again. Fair?
Yeah, absolutely. And what's interesting is that there were the rumblings of the ransom demand in the news before it was confirmed by the police. And we weren't sure whether to, take it as a hoax or whether it was legitimate. And since then, they've obviously validated it enough to put that video appeal out last night with Savannah and her siblings. The rumors were, though, that they listed something in that communication that described the interior of the house and also said what she was last wearing. Now, that in and of itself seemed very flimsy to me. It wasn't specific enough to really confirm that they had her. And yet, maybe over time, the specificity of that made them return to the house, because we saw police activity there yesterday, to confirm some clues or some details that must have been in that communication. Likewise, something that kind of stood out to me, the garage door opened at X time and it closed 2 to 3 minutes later. Garage doors very often close within 10 to 20 seconds. Makes me wonder if they actually entered through the garage as Nancy was going into the house, snuck under the garage door, and they can describe what she was wearing because she never changed into her pajamas or a nightgown. So they might actually know the last thing that she was wearing. I mean, there's a lot that we do not know and we don't need to know, but things are moving forward.
Dr. Jordan, let me just jump in here and kind of just to back up your point here. Yeah, you look at the timeline, at 9:48 p.m., family drops Nancy off home and garage door opens at 9:48. 9:50 p.m., garage door closes. Maybe it takes 2 minutes, James Fitzgerald, but who knows? The other thought I had on this is we were told there was DNA in the bedroom. There was blood found on the front porch. The sheriff said, well, you know what I mean. It was on near the door of the front porch, but not in the house, apparently, not owing away from the house. So is there no trail? Is there no trail coming to the front door? Is there no trail going away from the front door? Or are we just not being told about any blood anywhere else?
Well, there's a lot we're not being told, and no doubt that includes the blood spatter and where it may be and where not be. I talked about this earlier this week on another media hit, but there's a lot of explanations as to why the blood stopped where it did. It could be as simple as gravity and physics, that somehow someone picked up Mrs. Guthrie and started carrying her, and the blood just kind of dripped down on her, and they put her inside of a car, van, whatever it may be. So there's a lot of information they're still going to look at there. At least so far from what they said, there's no other or alien DNA inside the house. What they found so far is only that of Mrs. Guthrie. Let's hope it's not a serious enough injury that in of itself would have killed her right then and there. But obviously, her health is a factor here, and hopefully she's getting the meds that she should be getting.
Dr. Jordan, 15 seconds to kind of wrap us up here. You have a different thought than James Fitzgerald.
No, I always agree with Jim on everything. The bottom line is that whoever abducted her put a lot of planning into it. The idea that there was a trespasser at a neighbor's house maybe a month ago shows that maybe they planned their escape route very carefully. And the bottom line is we are operating as if Nancy is alive, and we will get her back. And that is what we need to do until we know otherwise.
Dr. Casey Jordan, James Fitzgerald, thank you both for coming on.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.